What's up, world, and welcome back to the Global Frequency. I'm your host, Nefarious.
And I'm Frequency Girl.
And today we are talking with our good friend, good Joe Catapano from Via Vera Studios, all about his creator-owned comic book crowdfunding campaign for Star Circuit 2, now available on Indiegogo. What's up, Joe? What do you know?
What's up? I know very little.
These days, I understand why. You've been incredibly busy launching this book. You were on Bancroft, and then you had an after party stream, I think, over on Narwhal's channel. Then you were on with Dave. And
did you go all night?
Yeah, like I can imagine this is just a couple days after the launch, but you probably
seems
going
like
full
it.
steam.
I just have friends. We got our friends out there doing. Makes me seem like I'm in multiple places, but yeah, I was on Narwhal's, and afterward I didn't do anything, but I was constantly tweeting, sending out other promo stuff everywhere. So,
well, I'm super excited to talk about this book. I think it is the most anticipated book on my list of indie crowdfunded books for the past, 2 years. When did Star Circuit 1 come out? 2021?
Yes, 3 years. Yeah.
3 years. So, yeah, other than my book, this is the book that I've been looking forward to seeing out there in the wild the most. The first Star Circuit left a big impression on me. I looked at it, I looked at what you did there, and so much of it was incredibly inspiring to see the way that you laid out how to introduce people to your story. And I was like, okay, at least I'm doing it right, because it kind of feels like, I'm following in Joe's footsteps here. So really, I think that it's just going to be incredibly rewarding to see. The one criticism that I had was that a book felt a little short, and you've gone to 72 pages. You decided to be a madman, triple the length of the book. Tell me about that. But first, let's acknowledge everyone here in the chat. What do you say?
Yeah, we have some additional people watching on Twitter. So hello, Twitter people. I don't think you can comment on the chat if you're watching on Twitter. So get on over to YouTube and watch us there so we can chat. We have Mo Biggs. Hello, Mo Biggs.
Hey, Mo.
It's officially a stream. We've missed you. I mean, we've missed everybody because we haven't really been streaming because we've been working on stuff. But we have Ape. Hi, Ape. How are you?
What's up, Ape? I know Ape is excited to get his Judex.
Yes, his books have shipped. Creators Outlet says, "Hail nerds."
What's up, Will? Thanks for dropping by.
And we have Pixel.
We got Pixel.
And we have Ollie. Hi, Ollie.
Yeah,
I know I have to email you and read stuff, and I will get on that as soon as fulfillment is done. I can go back to
whole Bible.
Yes,
check,
I do. I have lots of other work that is piling up while I'm working on fulfillment.
Yep, that's generally the way that it goes. You have work that I guess gets you down, and then you can't get through that work, and the rest of the work starts piling up behind it.
I think I have 25 books left to pack.
Oh, hey.
I think.
There. Definitely getting there.
So
Joe, why don't we start off with a little bit, I guess, let's catch up a bit. How did you get into comic books? What was your introduction to the medium, and then how did you break into making comics of your own?
Well, I feel like my earliest exposure to comics was strips, probably Calvin and Hobbes and Garfield when I was a kid. I feel like, everybody knows Calvin and Hobbes and Watterson's work there is like incredible. Probably, I mean, to me, it's some great stuff. But from there, I missed the high school mark. I was working a lot, and it just didn't like the sphere the sphere of people that I was around was not really like into it. So in college, that's when I picked it up. At some point, all my friends were like going to a comic shop, and they freaking like, I don't know, maybe a girl that I liked was going to go, and I decided to tag along. And once I walked in and I saw the walls, and I just sat there like, or stared at the walls and just looked at all the books. It just that feeling. I don't know if you have get this feeling when you walk into a shop like that. This feeling like you could be there for like your whole life, like endless amount of years and not leave. So from that point, I got like a few books from the editor's rack that they recommended. And then it's just a rabbit hole. You just go down the rabbit hole of the classics, you know, whatever characters I really liked. For some reason, Robin spoke to me at first because, I don't know, Tim Drake back in the day was the shit. And
that he was.
And so, yeah, I really like that stuff.
Dick?
Huh?
Do you prefer Tim over Dick? You know,
I actually do. I feel like,
yeah, me too.
I mean, Tim's the smartest. I think
Tim was my Robin.
Yep. Yeah. Hell yeah, right, Robin as well. Yeah, but anyway, the books led me down the path of really liking sci-fi stuff. I guess for some reason sci-fi always seeps into my interests. So Green Lantern. There's plenty of like any hero stuff that had a sci-fi twist, like Martian Manhunter, and you know things like that. I would always kind of hover around, not necessarily read the whole series, but anyway, once I saw all of that, I noticed that I wanted to almost switch careers immediately. I freaking was doing computer animation at the time, and when I graduated, I did some of that and did some of that as a day job, but really went into comics thinking that in, you know, whatever, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to be doing this. So that was I was 20 at the time. So it's been quite a long time since then.
And you just quit your day job to do this full time, right?
Yeah, it comes. This is actually a big milestone this year because, like I guess when I was 20 or 21, I was like thinking this was the end goal, and we're finally here. So,
to put Mo's comment up again.
Thanks, Mo.
Yeah.
It says, I'm glad you guys are streaming again. I know that I did put this one up. You just weren't paying attention. Mo says, that's unusual. I heard most Robin fans tend to prefer this.
That might be the best comment I've ever heard him put down. That might go into like a Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, honestly,
Good
like
comments.
I haven't been laughing a lot lately, but just one zinger from Mo, and already the
That's great.
spirits have lifted.
Well, DC agrees with him.
Hey, Larry. And we have an Odin.
Oh my
Look at
goodness,
that.
that doesn't
Hello,
happen.
Odin.
Odin's watching YouTube. He's usually, like
He's
streaming
very
on
fast to say
YouTube.
hi with James. Hello. And he's definitely backing Star Circuit too.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
definitely. Honestly,
sure.
people need to be backing this book. They need to be backing the catch-up tier if they didn't get Star Circuit 1 because they're going to be missing out. And I think knowing your penchant for wanting to level everything up, because when you talk about stuff, you talk about always improving. You always talk about like moving forward and pushing the, like Julius said, the boundaries of things. I think the difference in comparison between Star Circuit 1 and what you're doing with Star Circuit 2 is going to be remarkable, and people are going to want to not only just catch up on the story, but see where you've come, or how far you've gone in the 2 years between the two books, and what you've I don't know if changed is the right word, but like what you've improved upon. I don't know. Do you feel that way? Do you feel that you've progressed as an artist between the two?
Oh yeah, it's insanely different. It's because I started in 2016 with Star Circuit, and you got to think a year or two as an artist is a huge amount of time. It's like tech years. You know how like tech evolves so quickly. It's almost the same if you're working a lot as an artist consistently, and I have been. Your work's going to change so much in 2 years, and it's been 8 almost. You know what I mean? Like, but since I really made the pages, probably like 4 years. So like it's 4 years of leveling up essentially in art and some in writing. And yeah, I can tell the difference even with speed and putting out the book quicker. Yeah. Thanks, Shadowpunk. Shadowpunk's doing a lot of work out there for me on Twitter.
Yeah,
I really
he has.
appreciate it, dude.
I checked out Twitter for the first time in a while today, and I saw Shadowpunk hitting the Twitters promoting Star Circuit 2, and it made me
Yeah, dude.
smile because
I
Shadowpunk's got a
figured.
great book too, and
Oh
you know,
yeah.
like the sci-fi community in indie comics kind of rally around each other because you know we have to rep sci-fi, we have to rep good sci-fi books and show people that they're out there. It's so dominated by superheroes and sexy bad girls and werewolves for some reason.
Yeah.
Horror books. Sci-fi's got to kind of like, you know, hold the line together.
Yeah.
And I'm
We're
always nervous about
Shield Wall.
implying that artists improve or get better, but I know I can be candid with you about it because you strike me as the type of person who embraces the improvements rather than saying, oh, well, you know, you think that I needed to get better because my last stuff wasn't good enough. I mean, it's weird. They're, you know, two types of people. There's
Right.
the kind of people who are excited to improve and go, look at where I've come. And the other types of people who get offended where you say their old stuff isn't as good as their current stuff. So
Yeah. Actually.
yeah,
So
looking at my own stuff, looking at the first Mavericks and looking at what I'm doing now, I'm like, it's miles beyond where it was, and not just because of the different direction of the art or the layouts or anything. Just the writing and in general, the pacing, the characters, like I feel that I improve a lot from each story that I write. And it's good to know that other people out there can embrace that idea that we're always trying to level up and get better than what we did last time. That's how, you know, we move the medium along. So when did you really put out your first book? Was Star Circuit your first self-published? Did you do any work in comics prior to that?
it definitely was my first self-published. Everything else before that was prepping to get you know, like in with the big two or just get a small cover deal or, you know what I mean? Just get in somehow. But I guess in trying and not making it, like I just ended up doing a lot of work. So just doing a ton of samples, getting critiques on it. And so it's almost better than getting the job because when you get the job, there's all this pressure. You have to do what they're wanting you to do. So it's almost a blessing in disguise not to get the job because you keep grinding at the things you like to do. And then eventually you're like, man, I'm getting good enough where it doesn't really matter like that. I'm going to go over here and try to draw, you know, I'd love to draw Green Lantern, but now after making Star Circuit, I don't really care. Like I still would do like a cover or something, but yeah, after a while, like that was it's a blessing in disguise to not get one of those gigs. I did do like trading cards or, you know, like what are they called? Not tops, but yeah, those type of cards. I did some of those, but that's not really any official work. But anyway, I did a lot of contests as well. And yeah, things like that, and just collaborations. So between all that, it's not really any official work. So Star Circuit was really the biggest first project. Since then, though, I've done several books. I'm actually have like two other books that are not launching. Well, I don't know when they're going to launch. One might launch this month too, but they're secret projects that I've also worked on aside from Star Circuit.
You can't quite talk about yet until you reveal how you've done them. Yeah, that's cool. That's always nice to know that the people that you admire are working on things more than just their own material, that they're trying to branch out.
It's one of the big reasons why Star Circuit was this late, like 3 years in, because I was like trying to do that plus other things, you know?
What did Mo say?
Mo says he's talking to Odin. I'm sure B Rose will be encouraged to hear that James is now busy being Ogden's wingman. Or at least I hope that's what he's there for.
Right. It's not B Rose's James, it's Odin's kid James.
Yes.
But Mo is making
the connection.
See, it's funny.
I'm getting it
is,
now,
it's
yeah.
funny.
Well, I'm glad you explained me because I was a little slightly lost. But I made the connection.
Odin's son's name is James.
Yes.
But then there was the guy who was, you know, cucking B Rose and his name was James.
That's okay. I knew that Odin's son was named James, and I didn't get the connection right away. So
Well, it was very clever. We also got Edwin, the ace, in with us in the chat right now.
yes.
Good to see you, Edwin. So, tell us more about Star Circuit then. I think Shadowpunk described it as Tron meets Blade Runner plus extra, right? Like that's actually a pretty good description of the like the motorcycle vibe that you get, like the feeling of the light cycles and the Blade Runner-esque element of the androids, you know, the robots and the humans, and the difference between like the replicants and the humans in Blade Runner. So it's a pretty good, apt description. How would you describe it yourself if you were to try and pull out of popular media different, you know, references to put together to pitch it?
I made actually a matrix of IPs that kind of like covers a lot of that. And so you've mentioned a few of them already. By what Shadowpunk said, but yeah, other IPs that really pull that. We talked about Gundam because your Mavericks line. Gundams, I just pull from them just like this really grounded type of world building, like things that, you know, there is a world that everything else is related to, but other things like we'll say other anime like Megalobox. I don't know if you've seen it, Megalobox, before, but it's like
I love Megalobox.
Yeah,
that
it's
makes
great.
a lot of sense too. I mean, look at Real Steel. If you're going to say Megalobox, you can actually go, even though it's not motorcycles, but it's that idea of robots and androids versus the human component.
To arguably say, I started making Star Circuit before I saw Megalobox, but after I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, I can see how cool this can be. But there's a lot of my story is really based around family as well. It's almost like my theme is very much around making connections in a world where we're all connected, and in some paradoxical way, we're not really as connected as before. So it's a thing where how do we find purpose when we're not really connected with people, and at the same time we don't have the physical challenge of survival anymore. So because androids do everything in this world.
I was actually thinking about that earlier today. If I were gonna prescribe Star Circuit, there's definitely that element of family in there with Atlas and his brother, and that's a big cornerstone of the story. And I was like, what other racing IPs really focus on family? And I was like, is this Fast and the Furious meets Cyberpunk? Do we get
That's hilarious.
Toretto? It's all about family.
Dude, I just really enjoy the counter. Like, I really enjoy this kind of battle of like a lieutenant villain and like a protagonist, and not to lead anywhere because the second chapter has a lieutenant villain, but down the road we'll just say the family like drama leads to more than just family drama. We'll say that, and it slowly becomes more of in your face type of stakes. We'll say that. But I really enjoy stories like brothers essentially that have this battle. Yeah.
Right, and you know there are a lot of stories where a brother gets in trouble and the other one comes along to bail him out. He's in a position like, what was that Nick Cage movie? Was it Gone in 60 Seconds? I mean, they were car thieves.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And it's like the only Nick Cage movie that I like to watch.
He had to go and be a car
thief
and like pull off an incredible heist to save his brother. But a lot of movies, that family element provides the stakes and the grounding for the drama. You know, like if this doesn't work out, I lose more than my reputation or even my own life. It's the life of the people that matter to me. So it's a great way to get an audience connected, like you were saying. And it's a great juxtaposition because you have a setting in which everyone's connected to effectively a internet of things, right? Everyone's on this network which provides entertainment, but it's also kind of an augmented reality experience where there is a interweb of connections. But family is always going to be deeper than just that, just the perception, right? How do you bring sci-fi into that very personal, dramatic element in your storytelling? Like, how do you balance the two? Because sci-fi can be so far out there and difficult for people to grasp. Meanwhile, you have a very grounded story about brothers, family, dedication, racing. Like, you know, they're Speed Racer, right? You know, Racer X and Speed Racer. These are like storytelling things that we're all very familiar with. We can all very easily associate with that. But then there's cyberpunk, and you know, this very far-flung idea of, you know, an internet that connects people's brains that people have trouble understanding. How do you make the two mesh well or juxtapose them?
I would say I'd reply to that by a lot of that comes from, I guess, the first thing that really started to affect how I wrote Star Circuit is Alan Moore's advice about world building. He mentioned that like you really need to dig deep in the causal effects. Like let's just say there is this network in the future that everybody's connected to. Now, how does that affect the art scene? How does that affect politics? How does that affect what people do when they go to the cafe? What does that, you know?
Yep.
I missed what he said. Was it important?
Oh, Shadowpunk?
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a theme of merging men and machines.
Yeah, and
There is a little bit of
a
that.
similar thing in Mavericks.
Yeah.
That's very much the. I have a. It's funny because you explore a lot of the same ideas in your setting. In our setting, there is what we call the the social optimization into social optimization and logistical intelligence system, the Solace system.
Yeah.
And everyone is connected to this idea of it provides solace for the people in the future post Cascade, right? And it's a network that everyone's connected to, and they have a buddy, an artificial intelligence agent that allows them to access that. It kind of provides a buffer between that system and them directly. So you have this personal, dedicated AI that looks out for you and tries to anticipate and take care of your needs by accessing relevant context data in the network. And these are concepts, just what I've mentioned to you, that set a foundation for those effects. Like, what is it like to go to the cafe? I can tell that to you, and you and I might be able to understand it. You say that in a room full of other people, they go, what? And they walk away because the idea is already so far beyond, what they want to try and process or understand, or it's just not, interesting.
Yeah. There's like one
Science fiction
example.
people, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's one example in my book that just came to me, and because you related to like how does this relate to how do you make this merge with like personal things like family, and one example in the first book is this friend droid that idea I came up with, where in the future, like instead of like meeting up with other people, you can send a droid with your skin on it. And then it's almost like you're going to meet your friend, but you're not really going to meet your friend. You're physically there for them, but you're just there cognitively. So his dad comes and like bails him out of jail, or not of jail, out of the police department in the first book. And it's not even a big spoiler, but the point is that he doesn't even come to meet his son. He's like so like in denial of his own situation that he doesn't leave the house, and he just sends this droid there. And it's almost like a way Atlas takes that as like, okay, yeah, you still don't really care enough to come get me yourself. And so, yeah, that's like a good example of how it can be personal.
Right.
I think I could use one of those droids.
So like, go outside and
Send it out into the
you,
real world for
me. Be your buddy.
Yeah.
It's great though, because you can take a premise like that, and if you can show people rather than explain it to them, they can sort of experience it and understand it that way, and they tend to want to go with it then, because their own curiosity keeps them, oh, well, what's that mean for this world in this way or that way? I always give the Starbucks example to people when I try and explain what being connected to Solace would be like, and what the buddy can do. But in your book, in just the first couple of pages, I've found the way that Atlas accesses the net, talks to other people, talks to his own AI that he's connected to. Like, it was very grounding immediately into the setting because of the way that you showed it in action. And it already got me intrigued in a sense of, what does this internet look like? What does it feel like to be connected to it? What is it that these people experience when they're talking to each other? And I thought that it's very, the possibilities for exploring that are, fathomless, right? In my book, I've got a military setting. So I do a lot of military stuff. I got a lot of giant robots and explosions and everything. But there is a lore behind that allows for that setting to exist. And I want to jump into that lore and tell people, like, this is what it's like in an everyday situation if you're a civilian rather than a soldier. right? And it becomes difficult for me to find opportunities to suck people into that world, to give them that grounding experience and understanding of what the setting is like that this military sort of comes out of. So when you have these new androids, I say new, we met them in the first book, but we didn't really experience them in the first book the way I anticipate we're going to experience them in Star Circuit 2. When you introduce those, how do you bridge the existence of them so that the reader can really appreciate the omnipresence of these androids? Because it's cheap, right? They're easy to manufacture now, and they're sort of omnipresent.
Yeah.
In Blade Runner, it was the replicants. You can never really tell who's who, right? They have guys that are actually there to discern who's a replicant and who's a human, because their replicants are so widely, dispersed throughout the population that anyone could be a replicant, right? They look so common. How do you do that with androids?
Well, there's actually some Easter eggs that probably, when you look back on chapter 1 and probably going forward, there are telltale things that are like, if you see a human looking person in the book, you can tell if it's an android by a couple things. And I don't even need to, maybe I'll just leave that for people to try to spot. But there are telltale signs in the new book. Yeah. In the new book, we see some new androids, but a lot of it's not in, we'll say, present time. We kind of jump around in a time frame where I showered and shaved and wearing a colored shirt. Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
The big twist will be when Joe reveals that he's
an android. Yeah,
that's correct.
Like to be replaced by an android.
I know. I've been an AI the whole time, a GPT. So yeah, that's in the new book. You get a little bit of the androids, especially because in some ways the main antagonist in the second book is a squad of cyborg type androids, ninjas. Yes, and they. Yeah, and they have all the things that you might expect, but maybe some things that you don't, and yeah, that's going to be cool to show. As far as like the racing element, there's a little bit more, but not as much as you might hope. That's coming down the road. There's a lot of little things that I'm connecting that you're just not going to see until maybe chapter 4 and 5 or 3, 4, and 5. So
finding the opportunity to really show those things can be difficult in the context of having a well-paced narrative where you're trying to tell a story about characters, but these essential little components of world building are necessary to fit into that. And you can't just like go off and show a different tangent inside of the world where people get to experience that type of life. It really becomes being cognizant and present in the narrative to try and weave those things in. So it's refreshing to know that you already conceived of some Easter eggs in ways that that people can piece it together.
It's
the presence of androids.
Yeah, I don't think I even meant it. Oh, I like Moebig's comment here. I was just recently playing Ninja Saviors, is what they renamed the old beat 'em up game from the 90s. I forgot what they called it before, but now it's called Ninja Saviors. It might be called Ninja Warriors before, but dude, go play that game. It's pretty much like Star Circuit 2. It's like these ninja cyborgs, and you're like, man, I saw it after the fact. I was like, man, these are really cool designs. Ninja Warriors. Nice. Yeah. So I have Ninja Saviors now because it's on Switch, but it's fun.
It's on Switch.
You're all excited. It's probably, since it's an NES game,
I can actually play it.
Side-scrolling.
So anything that's like further along than like 8-bit, I can't play because
That's not true. She has problem with 3D environments where you can turn around and look in all directions. So like any third-person games like Legend of Zelda, the new Legend of Zeldas, or even like
play the new Pokemon.
Yeah, you can't play the new Pokemons because you can like go in any direction, right, and turn your view.
You gotta
motion set.
Work the camera. Yeah.
Yeah, it triggers my vertigo and then I get sick. So
Ninja Gaiden was different, but I loved that game when I was young. The old Ninja Gaiden.
Oh man,
it was a blast. You actually did some Ninja Gaiden, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I did Shinobi actually, but very close.
Yeah, and you did Samurai Warriors, right? Like you've got this whole kick.
I think we own all of those pieces. I should have hung them all up.
Yeah, you should have hung Joe Catapano.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Like I said before,
like a whole gallery
and other stuff. But we do have a whole Catapano gallery.
I think
That's incredible.
every time you've opted.
Honestly, we should make rooms. We should be like,
this
is
is the Joe Catapano room.
You're staying in the Catapano
This is the playroom.
Yeah.
We'll just put them all in one room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could have sections, right? Little plaques.
This is 656. This is Rich Ayala.
Yeah. We got a lot of original art.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
Your stuff's some of my favorite, man.
Yeah.
Really
thank you. Hey, Julius, what's up? Yeah, so there's a new retro. What do they call the new games that like program and make their game to look retro, but not really? The newest one is the one developer that made Shovel Knight, but they made not the Messenger. What's the other one called? Cyber Shadow, I think is what it's called. And it's just another Ninja Gaiden type game where you're just pixelated and running around. But it's great. It's, again, really good story. Awesome.
Yeah, I know some of those developers that do the more retro style side-scrolling adventures. Look like 8 or 16-bit with really cool sprites that have that sprite animation that is it really like does pull on those nostalgia strings. If you were gonna make
I can play Shovel.
you can. It's a side scroller. Yeah. If you were gonna like a Metroidvania style game would be something that I'd really dig. If you were gonna do a Star Circuit game. What would it be like? What would how would you envision the experience of playing Star Circuit?
I was just thinking, I was talking about it, I think on Narwhals, but all the streams are blending together, so it could have been another one. But I think I really want to have like a narrative driven type of arcade racer where it's like half RPG, half racing with a little bit of a hub where you go to your shop, you have a garage that you own, you're making money, and at the same time you're trying to race. But there's a story progression, so it's much more relatable to the characters. As far as gameplay, I think it should be probably more arcadey with a little bit, like that technical detail in Mario Kart where if you flick the joystick back and forth, you drift better. Little things like that, not superb racing type of technical
so
video
you don't
game.
want it to be like Forza, and you don't want to do like Midnight Club style stuff,
right? But not exactly
More
Need for Speed either. Like something in between. It's like a little bit harder with a little bit of a technicality that you have to get good at to play the game, but not where you're trying to shift gears perfectly, and so that. But I also envision like it'd really be cool to see the light trails the whole time. Like you be able to like fly through them and it evaporate as you like fly through the light trails. That would be really cool to see.
Cool. I definitely would not be able to play it.
No,
but...
you would bomb it. Yeah. Flashing lights and sounds and motion. You actually used to be able to sort of play Midnight Club.
Yes, we did. I used to be
which is weird.
I used to play Quake like nonstop.
Yeah, but
like,
this was after you had your like.
I was gonna say, and
vertigo
then it triggered my vertigo, and I stopped playing like everything.
Like evil at Quake. She was so good, it was scary. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I was playing the new Turtles.
The nail gun, the double barrel nail gun thing. Just don't even. The teleporters, like she'd just pop out, gone. And like,
I love when like unsuspecting girls are like masters at some of these games. My fiance is like incredible at the new Turtles beat 'em up game. She just like dominates for no reason. I don't even know. Yep.
Yeah, no, now I'm relegated.
We played Streets of Rage and we played Diablo. We played some Diablo. Yeah, you could actually manage Diablo even though there is like sort of like a top-down 3D environment to it. I think it's just when it's like spinning here rather than spinning here. But you used to be able to play Midnight Club, even though that was, you had to move the camera. Something about moving in a dedicated direction.
And I think if I take like long breaks and come back to it, I can play again for a while. Because I was watching him play Helldivers yesterday, for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Which like
I don't know if you've played it yet.
It's for me.
It's a really fun game. It's a great escape. Just going and
wait, which game? I missed
the new Helldivers. Helldivers 2.
Oh no, I've heard how fun and addicting it is.
Dude, I should stream. It is a blast. It provides a much needed respite from all of life's problems.
Dude, those are the best
Streets
kind.
of Rage, Diablo. Right? Now we hitting that good bow.
I found my crack patch shirt yesterday too when I was looking for my Star Circuit shirt. It's a nice little cache of awesome graphic
wear
tees.
that on the next stream.
Yeah, when we talk about, other stuff. But why don't we take a look at the campaign? Because, we're getting about the halfway
we're doing
mark.
like a
We
real
haven't even
show,
looked
not
at the
just
campaign.
hanging out and chatting with Joe.
Yeah, it was fun. The good old chat.
Look at that art, though. Bring it. Just
say
make.
hi to
Can you
Sunny?
make us like the side and just show that art
hold
for a
on.
hot second?
Where is
The background. Look at the perspective that he
that
gets.
really did much.
Look at the detail in the background at that angle that he does with the
there's
foreshortening
some
and like the almost fish-eyed skew that he puts on it. That's sexy, man. That's just sexy looking art there.
Whoa, it's too much.
Not that, the background that we have on our show.
Oh, I thought you meant the one that was up.
What is currently our background for the show? I wanted to show that image.
It's definitely
I should have.
in the pages.
Those are those.
We'll come back to the other one.
Those are those splashes where it's just like you worked so hard to capture that perspective. The way the vanishing point really feels like a vanishing point in this, and yet the curve comes out and around into the foreground.
It's very
and then you
dynamic.
put them at a lean on top of that. It's like, how many perspective lines really are you working with here, Joe? Jeez.
You have no clue, dude. It was. I probably redrew it many times to get it right, but yeah, and I also wanted to show the background too.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like, and you did this in Star Circuit 1 in the poster of Star Circuit 1 also. Your detailed backgrounds bring so much to the environment. It feels like looking at Akira, because the Akira backgrounds, and I know Akira is an inspiration for you, but the Akira backgrounds are so detailed. There's so much personality in those backgrounds that gives a feeling to the action that's going on in the foreground and just immerses you in this, like, it saturates everything, right? It permeates everything, this feeling of the setting. But this page, the 2-page spread that we just saw, that's the type of page you buy the book for.
Yeah.
There are there are moments in the story, in any story, Odin knows what I'm talking about here, when you're writing for that moment. Everything that you're writing is a brilliant lead up to a moment that just explodes, that cathartic moment, which is what you've been trying to achieve in your journey as a writer in a story. But then there's pages like that when, as a reader, you're flipping through the book and you'll get to a spread and you'll be like, this was the cover price right here. If I'd only gotten this one thing, I would be perfectly happy, because that is worth the cost of admission. And I love that guys like you really know how to pay that off.
That's great to hear, man. Yeah.
I really like the story on Star Circuit as well, but I don't think anyone else would be able to do this book justice, because without the art giving you that, you can't do a racing book that feels flat and stagnant. And all of your art, especially the racing scenes, you can feel the movement in it. You can see
kinetic,
it. Right. There's
people
an
say
energy
kinetic a lot, but this is like,
there really is. There's an energy.
These
to
bikes
it
leap off the
that
page.
makes you feel like, because like when you're watching a movie and you're watching a race, there's that, your heart pounds a little bit because you get that kind of rush of adrenaline of watching that action that, if not done correctly, could fall flat in a comic book, because you're dealing with 2-dimensional space, right? It is a fixed picture.
Yeah, it's an illusion.
But you really do a great job of capturing that energy, and you can feel it. Like, there's no dialogue or sound effects even in these pages here, but there's an investment already. You can feel the energy in these pages, and
I was gonna say, in retrospect. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, in retrospect, these are the kind of the pages that I wanted to do when I first thought of the idea, like in maybe 2017. And I probably wouldn't be able to do this page back then, but I'm currently at the level where I can. So it's awesome to be like, these are just like when I envisioned doing, this is the Star Circuit you're watching, like in these pages, right? And so when I first thought of the premise, these are the shots I've been waiting to do for years, and I finally get to do them. So it's great.
Now, when you do put, if there is going to be dialogue into these pages, will you be putting any sort of sound effects? I don't want anything really to cover up that art right there, but I could envision some sound elevating the storytelling, especially on that when he shifts the gear.
Yeah.
Those of us that are looking at it know that what he's doing is he's shifting gears, he's accelerating, whatever, but like a audible cue to also let us know that there's something significant about that would enhance it. Are you putting sound effects into your art? Through lettering, I guess?
Yeah, I'm scripting. I don't ever draw them. They're going to be in the letters, but maybe down the road I would do that. But I do script it that way where there are intended sound effects. I may actually be doing the letters this time and just trying to get Eric Weathers to consult with me, because the first time around I did letter the whole book, and then I gave what I did to Eric Weathers, and he like polished the hell out of them and probably corrected a lot of things. But this time around I might actually try. We'll see if I have enough time. So yeah, there's so many cool different little things that I'm trying to do with all these pages, and when you see it later down the road.
Yeah. This is a very cool page. I know what you're doing here too. There's quantum computing going on inside of these circuits. We're seeing effectively the neural impulses of the android moving potentially faster than the nerves in the human body, than the instinct. So that's a very cool juxtaposition there, how you're seeing the process go through the mechanical racer, through its circuits. And it's great because even though it can process all of these possible ways to manipulate the position of the bike to gain a better angle or speed to win the race, it's still not the instincts of a human racer, because the human doesn't need to think there. There is no impulse from thought to execution. There is no data processing to physical, and there's simply just do. Right? It's that no mind moment. And that's interesting for you have to put it in the context of a race to really understand that, to get that across, the difference between android and human. That's the type of shit that gets me going, man. That's the type of stuff that I want to see.
You could spend a whole hour just chatting with you just on that page.
Yeah.
It's incredible that it's really just incredible that you instantly feel what I did. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also the kind of person thinking about that stuff, so it's going to be a little bit more intuitive for me to pick that up when I see it. But I think a regular reader,
I mean, I got it too.
A reader who's not like sci-fi minded is also going to get that communicated to them in the context of the story. You take that page out of context, I know exactly what you're doing. But in a progression, I'm sure that the person is going to totally get that storytelling there too. I don't need words. I don't need
Right.
I don't need plot. I can just look at the thing and know what's going on there. But that's because I'm like you. I'm sci-fi minded, and my brain is in that world.
We're connected. Like we're in the Solace or the Ark or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. You've got, and you've definitely put that theme into the work, and that theme is really what defines your world. I don't feel like I've done a good enough job with Mavericks to really give people a sense of the technology behind what's making the world that I'm immersing them in what it's become, how we went from here to there. But there is so much. I want to show it, but it's tough because I have to be doing military stuff with mechs on military bases and have them in the field. I can't bring them home without the opportunity to do that and really ground people. You saw the last 4 pages of the first book, right? The after credits scene. I try and show you a little bit of that. And, I felt that those 4 pages were effective enough, or however many pages
they were. More than 4, but that's okay.
They were effective enough to at least give a taste of this world behind the world. But
yeah, I really enjoyed that actually.
Your world is right there smack in the face, right? You're able to do your action and your narrative storytelling and the world building simultaneously so well that I feel immersed in the story, in the world while I'm reading it. It makes me jealous that you have the opportunity to do that. So tell us about the characters. Tell us about Atlas and Menno. I mean, you picked the right setting and you picked the right story, right? A racing story set in a world that's, this type of racing is possible because of the world. So you have to show that. Tell me about Atlas and Menno, though.
Yeah. So there's plenty of things to say about these brothers. So these are the Metric brothers, are the offspring of the Metric family, which the Metric family owns the biggest android producing company. They own almost everything now. It's like a conglomerate. It's a monopoly, and they're like the golden children essentially. You know, everybody knows them. They're celebrities almost, but they're really completely different. Atlas is very kind of reckless and just more free flowing, like very kind of connected in a way that like is not so by the book, by the numbers. And Menno's the opposite. He really is much more intellectually based, cognitive, and he cares about the things that Atlas doesn't. And so like they're the two sides of the same coin, but that's what's really cool about it. And they fight for that reason.
I love the likes, the addition of the likes. It
After
really
parties
just gives you that
himself.
feeling of, himself.
History, memory.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, yeah, it's just fun to, and I get to like throw little nods to certain things with these characters. So, but yeah, moving along, like Hip is the ex-girlfriend you meet in the first chapter, and you know she's great because she's like that warrior woman in the future. Like she would be like probably the one girl that is probably fighting in the army for no reason. You know that one. You know what I mean? She'd be the warrior woman. But in this world, she's just a lowborn kind of racing shark.
She'd be dizzy if it were Starship Troopers. She'd be the one that you want by your side. Yeah.
Tank girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we also meet Nick and in the first chapter as well. He's just a really good friend that Atlas doesn't really treat that well, but I think they like need each other in different ways.
They have a good rapport.
They have a good rapport, but
they're the familiarity. You can tell the friendship that's there, even if Atlas is kind of a jerk.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
he's just kind of a jerk.
That's how it is. Like, yeah, if you have one of those friends in real life, you're like, you have that friend that like is kind of a jerk. You deal with it because like there's other redeeming things about them.
Oh yeah, Odin can tell you plenty of stories.
Yeah, know that guy Nefarious. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Nah, we kid.
What an asshole, but dude, he's brilliant. So tell me about the android and Ed.
So Ed is the childhood hero of Atlas, and we get a little bit of this in Star Circuit 2. There's actually some flashback stuff that happens in Star Circuit 2.
I was going to say that's how you show us Ed, because he is deceased, right? Like
yes,
but he's such a pivotal part of the storytelling and an integral character in the overall narrative that you're putting him in here.
He's almost the whole reason for the story in some weird way. But yeah, so Ed is a legendary racer that was one of the first to race androids, and he didn't make it out like so many others back in the day. So yeah, I prefer the Imperial family to the Metrics. Nice.
That's great.
Atlas would probably treat him better if he stopped wearing that hat.
Yeah, that's actually what are they called? A welding shield, but yeah.
Are these books accessible for people who drive under the speed limit? I don't know, man. These books are pretty ableist, right? You know, if you're not able to be an adrenaline junkie and on a supercharged motorcycle, it's probably not your.
Well, I mean, I don't drive like a speed racer, and I enjoy the
She thinks I drive like a speed racer when I obey the speed limit,
which is rare because you usually drive like.
That's hilarious.
Do you have a significant other that you drive in a car with, Joe? Do you know the whole like the whole?
I can relate to the car drama, dude.
Yeah. Oh man, I've stopped driving altogether because of it. Just like you drive. I'm gonna text.
I
You drive, I text.
Anxious.
Yeah, you drive, I text. I play with the radio.
I mean, to be fair, I get anxious whenever I'm not the one who's driving. When anyone else is driving, not just him.
Just want to say hi to JP. Thank you so much for dropping by, buddy.
And also Snuggie.
Yeah, and Snuggie. Snuggie showed up too.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate anybody who's helped share the campaign too. I know there's a lot of you guys, so I just want to make sure I say that.
Crap.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Rook, but he's the lieutenant villain that I kind of introduce in this chapter. You'll get to know him real well over this chapter and the next. Little fun fact: we edited down this book from 140 pages to half of that, and I split it into two chapters because it just felt better, obviously, and I could get the book out, and it wouldn't be a nightmare to ship with that much weight. But yeah.
It's a welding shield in the sense that it prevents the hopeless romantic from welding with the woman.
Dude, that's perfect, dude. That's perfect.
So the book that you made, this 70, how many? 72, 74, 72?
72.
It's divisible by 4. That is the first half of chapter 2.
Sorry.
No, it's the first, well, that's how I originally thought of it, but I just
book
named
2 and
it.
then there's book 3.
Yeah.
3.
So,
Okay.
but really the way I look at 2 and 3, they're like this nice, they almost could be a volume in itself. Like
I'm
that
having
nice.
the same freaking problem. I wanted to split Mavericks into, book 1 and book 2, right? Volume 1 and volume 2. And volume 2 is so flippin' big that it's feeling like, it's 130 something pages. And it's feeling like maybe I make a better breaking point so I can do volumes 2 and 3 rather than volume just 1 and 2. How did you decide, or when did you decide to do that? And then how did you actually do it? Give me
That goes into a nice little thing, because another thing that's happened with this book is I've gone through a lot of editors. I've kind of been editor shopping this whole time. Not that anybody that I've had as an editor before is bad, but it was really Kemosabe that suggested I split the 2. And I've also had other editors because I wanted different perspectives. And I really like what each editor brings to the table that I've brought in. So I almost have like an editing team for this book. But yeah, that's where it came from. Kemosabe recommended it. And then we try to figure out what to pull to make it all work. You know how that goes. So we decided which scenes to pull out entirely and move to the 3rd chapter and the rest of it. But I think it really comes down to this really 2 and 3 becomes this nice little altercation that's resolved. Not that at the end of 2 you do get a really good resolution. I think this book has it's the best thing I've written so far, and it's the best paced thing. It's got that nice like approaching the cliff and then off the cliff with these crazy stakes. You don't know how it's going to end, and you're just ready for anything.
Nice slow builds, add some tension.
See, I like that. I know there are
break
people
the tension,
that are...
build the tension, break the tension, build the tension, everything explodes.
I know there are a lot of people who are like, no, I want just complete done in the story and move on. But I really like cliffhanger endings. I like that anticipation and being able to have that time in between to digest it and go back and look for Easter eggs and reread it and be like, oh, I wonder if this is going to happen or how is this going to resolve? I really like that. I think it lends to a next level of engagement with the book that you don't necessarily get with a one and done story. But that's just my personal
But you
taste.
send us off the cliff and then hit the ground and start running. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
there's like
You don't just end at the top of the cliff. You show us hitting the bottom, and then the race is on. Right.
Right. Correct.
When do you break the race being on? Because it's going, and I'm sure that's why it's 72 pages and not 48 or whatever. Because you can do a nice build to a point in 48, but giving us that extra 30 pages of holy shit, go. When did you break it?
I feel like, I mean, I can't describe necessarily how, because I'm really trying to keep that last half. I've pretty much shown little snippets of like the first third, the first half almost of the book, but everything after the first half is a mystery to everyone. And I wanted to keep it that way because it's going to be, you're not prepared for what happens. And so, and I don't like, even knowing it, when I reread it, I'm like, I don't even know how this is going to end. I wrote it and I don't even know. But the cool part is you do have a little bit of a resolution with a whole lot of questions and wondering what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in my mind because I'm comparing it to what I wrote, which is you build to that point. And originally, Garrett wanted to end it at the appearance of Chernobog in Mavericks. That moment of appearance is when he wanted to break it. And I'm like, you can't do that. That's the bad type of cliffhanger. You need to give us.
There's not enough.
We build it to that point. That's the explosion. You need to show the stuff coming out of the explosion and how the explosion affects people, and then bring it to a point where you can get a reprisal of the explosion, and that's where I wrote it to end with Harrison. I'm like, no, I have to give them 30 more pages of awesome. So I'm thinking that you probably are doing something very similar to build the pace and then give us like a thrill ride. I mean, you've got literal androids standing on top of a rocketing train. You don't just do that in the first 12 pages. I don't know. Maybe you do. I want to see how Joe's doing. I want to read it already. When's it ship?
We're aiming for fall, so that way you're reading while you're nice and cozy during the holidays.
Nice. That's not too long to wait at all. How far along is it? I know you have a graph on the campaign.
That is slightly inaccurate because obviously I'm working as the campaign's going, but yeah, it's right around where most of my job's getting closer and closer to being done, because this time we have a colorist. Marcos Martin's doing the colors. So
Marcos is great. We love Marcos.
So these are all not my colors, which is insane for me to even say, because I never thought we'd be at this point. But we've gotten to a good rapport where like we're kind of slowly understanding each other. It wasn't like that necessarily. There was a lot of warming up to like what I want things to look like and try to replicate what was done in book one.
You were telling me when we were working together that you like, and this is I think for everybody, like colors were pissing you off. Like for line artists, you can do your lines and inks, but eventually you get to colors and it's like, this is a whole nother mess of flatting and then layers and then highlights. And I don't want to do this. I just want to go back to drawing my lines. And I'm so glad you hooked up with Marcos, because he is dope. He really is.
He's just such a sweetheart.
He's a sweet hugs. He ends all of his emails with hugs.
I love him. He's great.
Dude, no, I really enjoy like just the way we go back and forth and try to make things work, and yeah, super nice guy, and real talented too.
Very talented, yeah.
So
we got Gooch with us.
Yeah.
What's up, Gooch?
Gooch.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, yeah, we have. So I'll be done. I'll be done sometime in the next beginning of summer. I'll be done with my job essentially. Depending on what happens, like I said, I have these other books happening too, so that could interfere. But that's the plan, and then I can focus on like logistics and making everything work out, and just putting the book together. But yeah, I'm so stoked. So like, dude, the point is I'm drawing like, that what I'm talking about, this cliff, I'm drawing that currently. So I'm like, I don't even know how amazing it is yet, because I haven't gotten there yet. So it's awesome.
I'm excited to see it. I know you probably can't talk about this, but I know there are little tidbits that you've discussed with Neff, and I'm very excited after a little bit.
There is some of that too, yeah.
I'm very excited.
She knows everything I know, like in all things.
We share a brain.
We share one brain. There can't be any secrets, because like you need memory to think.
Correct.
Let's take a look real quick at the campaign
that's a
tiers.
compliment from Raiden.
Somehow it's colorful without hurting your eyes or looking like RuPaul's birthday party. Yeah, that. I could imagine like it'd be very easy to do a lot of really bright fluorescence and obnoxious lighting in the future. A lot of like what Blade Runner does, contrasting the dark, dimly lit, kind of grungy, secretive element with like the bright neon, overbearing cyberpunk element. But I think you do a really good job balancing the two and not going overboard. Although he did ask earlier, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up, do Ross and Rachel kiss in this issue?
They get back together in this issue, yeah.
Oh, holy shit.
They were on a break.
They were on a break, right? We were on a 2-year break. So tell me about these tiers.
Dude, I kept it real simple this time.
You did?
Mostly because I feel like I really need to focus on the book. Just every little thing that I have to do outside of the book, no matter what it is, takes away from the main book. So I was like, for now, I'll do it this way. Maybe when I put out a volume, I'll make some really cool tchotchkes, and I will want to draw. I want to do that contest with the bikes and the 3D prints. I want to do all that, but not this time around. So yeah, you just pretty much have the choice of 2 covers, either my cover or Rob Willis's cover. Speaking of, the art is available for both of those. The original art for those are on sale. And after that, we got the catch-up tier. From the beginning, you can get the new cover for chapter 1 with a copy of chapter 2, and you'll be ready to go. Yeah, it's going to be great. You get a nice, like, over 100 pages. Sherry, what's up?
Hey, we got Sherry with us. What's up, Sherry? Thank you so much for tuning in.
She's here for Joe.
Now tell me, of course she's here for Joe. Now tell me a little bit, it would not be a Neff show without me discussing. Tell me about your price points and your shipping. Explain your thought process here.
Well, not a whole lot is being going through my brain because a lot of it's RJ at Critical Blast doing the work these days. Just meeting with him and we work out like how much weight is going to be my package, my packages. And from there, it's pretty simple.
It's like 6 pounds. It's a big, hefty package. Joe's
yeah.
Be,
The Italian package, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah. The original pages are separate, so not really.
You put insurance on those, obviously. But I looked at it and I was like, oh, he's got $10 shipping all the way through, no matter how many books you stack in.
Mm-hmm.
And then even with the add-ons of like the patch and the sticker and all that other stuff,
even
that's
if you
not
put
driving
everything
up.
in the cart on your add-on.
That's not driving up the price either. So I'm like, okay, well, obviously they're not using media mail at the lower tiers to save money. He's just going $10 across the board. And I thought that was a very interesting way to go because it's slightly overcharging at the lower tiers, but it's giving a huge discount to people at the higher tiers.
But he's also using RJ.
That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
That's
So there's all
RJ's
of
standard
that.
price is
Right.
$10.
Right. So it's right around there. Yeah, it's pretty much like giving. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So like there's a little bit of a buffer on one end, more or less. And so for me, I didn't think that was a big deal. I wanted everyone to have. I think that helps international people. Yeah.
What does your international pricing look like? I didn't even check because I didn't use my.
I think
to change
it's
my location to Australia.
I think it's 30 for international.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
It's really good. But again, RJ's got connections to go into a lot of different places, so that helps.
Right. Yeah. Now, why a $28 cover price instead of $25 or $30? What is it about $28 that you think is appealing?
So 28 pretty much accounts for this, like I pretty much wanted to have the best quality of cover. If that means that I pretty much will try to find the best between like a spot gloss or going with a little bit of a thicker interior. And 28 was right around where the numbers made sense. Like a little bit lower, I would be cutting it close, and I just didn't want to cut. I'd rather like up the funding goal and up everything and make sure everybody gets the.
Honestly, it's the perfect price point for a 72-page book. Because we all know that, the 50-cent standard, 50 cents a page is no longer going to cut it. Like, that's dumb. No one's going to do 48 pages for $25 anymore. No one can afford that. But going up to $30 still that feels like it's a little bit of a significant upcharge. So doing 28 feels like you're giving them a break on going to 30, but you're acknowledging that it's more than 25, but still less than 50 cents. So it's probably the better of the price points that I've seen. I would prefer to get it down lower, to find better printers, to find printers that give us better deals, that can offer us all the things that we want with better prices. And collective bargaining really does offer that type of leverage when you're working with a printer. So if we were all able to get together and find a printer who could offer us the things that we wanted as far as finishes and sizing and things like that, and then leverage all of our books against them and be like, hey, if you want any of this business, you give us better pricing, that would be great. But I don't know if
we need like a union, dude.
Get our shit together to that degree. Although I do happen to know a couple of printers who would be interested in fulfilling indie exclusive books. It's just a matter of getting all the indie creators on the same page, which is never going to happen because we all put pages out at different rates. Some of us can't even finish a page.
Yeah, that's true. So I feel like I also reduced the price of chapter 1 too. So we sold
gave
it
us
for
a nice black cover. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, give you a black cover, and it's
like
cheaper than it was last time.
Design on it though, right? Like it has that cool light cycle. It's very understated but elegant. It's one of those covers where it's like, oh, that's a really cool looking thing, but it also isn't ostentatious and over the top.
Yeah, I just didn't want to, because it was down the road. I'd say when I'm crowdfunding book 4, when I'm crowdfunding chapter 4, I think I'll be bundling 1, 2, and 3 into volume 1. It'll be the first Star Circuit volume 1. And at that point, I'll have the classic cover. And so I didn't want to make a classic cover again and have to do it every time. So, well, when we have the volume, it'll get a new cover, a new one.
Yeah, you're saving on the art, but this isn't bad art by any means. But you are saving on like serious investment in cover art here, which is smart, you know, and the reprint. You know, it's something different, so it still feels successful. The sticker. I know you want the sticker. My editor's mind is going crazy because there should be a comma after glitch. That's just that's just me.
It's the meme. The meme never had a comma, so I didn't put it in. But
it's a direct address. You're calling the person glitch. What?
You're true. That is true.
This seems like it's saying glitch, please. Like it's a command. It's a mandato. It's it's direct in perfect tense.
Absolutely.
But I love the kanji patch. I think it's cute that you're charging for the signature, but you're also not charging $5. You're charging $3, so you're acknowledging that your signature is worth a little bit less than some other people's. It's not quite not quite as famous.
It's not even just like a little scribble. I like that. That's cool.
Well, they don't. I don't want to think about it like this, but it takes a long time to sign books. I don't think you realize like it could take a whole day, which a whole day is not working on the book or not working on like client stuff. And so you're essentially losing twice there because it doesn't really cost anything, you know, but anyway, that's really because I'll have to probably fly to RJ to sign books. So it's really covering the flight.
Right. Oh, so you're having all the books delivered to him rather than them coming to you and then going to him. Yeah. That's interesting.
Mostly because I want to go visit RJ's setup and see what's going on.
No, I'm not using RJ.
No, I know, but like there's that little part of the back of your brain that's like, oh, we could get our space back.
Yeah.
Send them to someone else.
Send to someone else, right? It's actually the thought of like maybe we could do fulfillment out of Japan, and then that would require me to fly to Japan to sign the books. And it'd be an excuse to go back and
we need one of those.
Yeah, right. I love the grips.
Yeah,
I love the designs of the bikes. I love the way that you engineer. That's another big thing for me is the engineering. I mean, as a mecha guy, engineering is of particular interest. So like looking at blueprints and looking at proportions. And
I don't think I caught that till I.
That he's getting disintegrated.
Well, like look, that it's actually his bones. I guess like I glossed over it when I was looking before. This is really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate the design of the light cycle.
I like that.
Hell yeah, yeah. I and that's one of the only pages that's original and is being sold. So I was like, man, I got to do the cover traditional. That way we can sell it, and it's just more fun. I love doing traditional pencils.
Your covers are great. Like, I know at conventions, we're almost out of your cover completely. I think we have, like, 2 of yours. It's yours and Ken's are, like, we have 1 or 2, and that's it. They go, like, hotcake. And Adele.
Oh, nice.
And Adele. Adele's gone completely.
Yeah.
Your Ghost in the Shell style homage is almost gone. Ken's is gone. Looking at the difference here, your rendering is so much more delicate, but the shading is still there without excessive amounts of cross hatching, right? But then we get Rob Willis, it's the opposite, but they look like they complement each other. Yeah, they do. You know, like this is so much. That's the thing I love about Joe's lines is they're delicate, right? They hold shape very well, but they're so crisp and clean and light, like they feel airy almost. Those lines,
I think that's why you get
distinguished, and you really feel like he separates his foreground, midground, and background
absolutely.
very
Yours don't feel
effectively
flat at
without
all.
Without the need for over texturing.
No, even just your pencils, it doesn't.
You did that with the wash though, didn't you?
What?
Looking at the strokes there, that's a gray wash, isn't it?
No, that's pencil. That's me shading.
That's pencil?
Yeah.
That's totally
that looks like brushstroke.
No.
Okay, that's pencil line.
Yeah.
That
it took a minute to figure that out.
He's not wearing his glasses.
Yeah. No, it's definitely my favorite thing to do is just line pen. I mean, you can tell from the Goats Rider stuff and yeah, all the other stuff I do. If I ever got like super busy with who knows, I don't know, I like something in real life pulled me from making interiors, I would love making covers. I love making covers so much.
Well, I'm definitely going to be, approaching you to do another one because your old
Oh yeah,
cover,
that's
your previous cover
done.
was exceptional. So it's a
Awesome.
given. We have to come up with an idea for what to do with Goats Rider because the reaction to it has been so overwhelmingly positive. Everyone's like, "This is the coolest character."
It looks awesome too.
It's a guy and he's riding a goat, and I
I'm really
love
mad
it.
that I didn't hang it up now.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it
Oh,
would have been hard to see anyway because
Yeah,
it's
that's
pencils,
fair,
right?
that's
right.
But we could have, put it in front of the camera and
Yeah.
had the camera not autofocus because it needs a memory card.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, tell us really quickly about the stretch goals before we get out of here. I noticed
not
that a
a
lot of
whole-
them are digital.
Yeah, going digital mostly. They're not a whole lot of complexity to them. Just like I'm making like a wallpaper pack for mobile for you guys, and that would be really cool to get. I'd kind of want that from other campaigns I see. I've made a map, a layered Photoshop map, and this is what it looks like. It's just very sketchy, but I would refine it, and if we hit it, I'll refine it and then make it into layers, and you'd get a PDF that would kind of layer on top of each other. You can flip through it and see the layers of the city that we're dealing with.
That's very cool.
And then this is probably a bookmark, but it could also be. I was also thinking maybe we just print. Like the one above is a digital version. We could print it and make it like a real transparency type of layered effect of the city. That could be cool too.
That's cool. Yeah.
So yeah.
Then we already talked about.
Do you have any plans after fulfillment or eventually once the first volume and fourth chapter are kind of coming out to pursue releasing this in a commercial manner, like through stores or through distribution, anything like that?
Yeah, every time I go to a shop with the book, I don't show any people. I talk to a lot of comic shops. It just seems like what I'd want to do is complete the whole story and either split it up into issues again in some weird way, or release them in volumes at shops and put them out in a sequential way. That's the only thing that I can see. I just don't see in the near future where I could do anything different. But that would be the plan. I would put it into shops. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that doing there's one of two ways. There's doing the full trade, the full graphic novel, and having it, in a prominent place featured for a certain amount of time at the shop if you're going through self-publishing. It's difficult to get a traditional publisher who's going into distribution to get a shop to do that for you. And if you're going graphic novel, you're going to be up there with like Grant Morrison and Alan Moore and all these other people that have done trades and graphic novels. So you're gonna get freaking lost because all they see is this, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's about it. You don't get to advertise this, right? You
Right.
only
That's a good point.
advertise this. So
Unless you get an editor,
if you're doing a trade, you got to be up there by the register so that they can see the full cover, or at least amongst a couple of others. What?
I just realized that you picked up. So that's where my swan songs went. I was looking for
It's
it.
down here with all the other stuff.
Yeah, I know. Whenever I'm missing a comic book, I just
It's in my pile.
I put up Goats Rider.
Oh, you
Goats.
found Goats Rider.
did.
Cool.
I
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
This
Make
is
it big. Make it bigger.
Well,
Zoom in on it.
No, it's gonna stop because it's on Twitter. So as soon as you touch it, it's gonna
okay.
show our DM.
Yeah, that's Goats Rider though. He looks like a medieval ninja riding a goat.
Yeah.
The goat has like a ring on the horn. It's
It's
just
so
the
funny.
coolest thing. Like
Yes.
nobody knows what's going on there, but like the background, the angle that you picked to this like low diagonal push for him in the midground with that castle in the background, like your forced perspective is exceptional, man. Like I don't think anyone does forced perspective in this indie comic sphere the way that you do.
Yeah,
And I
you
think
are an
that's
exceptional
from
artist.
drawing light cycles, like that's all
Yeah.
the experience that you need.
Yeah, I think that's what people say a lot. Like, if you ever want to like get good at drawing, just make a comic book.
The other way is to try and get onto the stands by going individual issues that are chopped down and going through a distributor. But
Yeah.
that's got its own problems. Comics are in a
know.
weird spot, man. They're in a really weird spot. The best way right now to get read probably is digital. That's probably the best way to build a fan base, a following.
Yeah, putting your stuff up for free on like Global Comics or.
I mean, beyond that, you've got to get that would only be the people on Global Comics.
Yeah, or something like that.
To reach a broader audience, you've got to get out there digitally, because there's no possible way to be there to be present physically for everybody. But you can be present digitally.
I can see myself converting it into like a scroller for webtoons or something. And
you've got the comic for it
just
too.
Be careful with their new terms of servicing. Like I didn't read enough into it, but
just don't become an affiliate.
Well, no, but like there's the way they have like where you have to hit accept, like the submit for originals and like just the put it on, or like the buttons are like right next to each other or something. I don't know. Someone was talking about it, and I have to.
Yeah, be careful with Webtoon.
Yeah, just
there's some predatory practices going on
from what I've heard.
If you do Webtoon, but you do have the perfect kind of IP for this. You have a sci-fi book that focuses on integrating serious elements of the digital world, the internet, augmented reality into the story. And then you could explore getting it out there much the same way. Like imagine a Star Circuit motion comic.
Yeah.
It's a comic about motion. You know?
It would work so good. And not making a motion comic racer is a little bit almost easier than like other comics because
that's what I'm saying. And then it's accessible, and you can put the chapters up on YouTube or do shorts on Twitch of just some of the races. I mean, there are so many ways to leverage Star Circuit to get it into people's feeds. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. Is there anything else you want to tell people, Joe?
I think the only thing we didn't touch on was the original art for sale.
Right.
We went through the art, but they are for sale, guys. They're at the bottom. I have them here. They're ridiculous. I stare at Rob Willis's cover whenever. Like Rob Willis's cover is almost like getting on social media. You're like, I look at it for a minute, and then I'm like, oh, it's been 10 minutes. I have not stopped looking at it. It's way more impressive in person for some reason. I don't know why, but
it's 11 by
still
17.
Impressive
right?
on here.
Yeah, it is, and it's something about like it's just because here we did a lot of computer editing to make it way more contrasting for colors and just for for graphic nature. But like when you see it, you get all the ink. What you see, the ink wash, everything blends in a little bit better way. It's an incredible piece. I think the only other piece that I like more than mine is maybe the Exiled cover he did. But besides that, this is my favorite. Besides that, because of the Mobius type background he's got. So yeah, definitely a favorite of mine. This and my cover are both for sale. It'll help fund the project, and also you'll have a piece of the original as we move on. So what I'll do is
a good idea.
Yeah, you'll be a cool kid if you own a Catapano original.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll show off the art as we go throughout the month or two that I keep crowdfunding on this thing. So, but yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much for bringing me on, man. Both of you guys.
Are you doing any conventions this summer? Any place that people
actually
can come and see you in person?
Yeah, I've been fighting Heroes Con to get me in my free table for I don't know how many years now, and they said they would this year. And I hear that maybe Rini and a bunch of the folks over on that side of things are going to maybe try to make that one. That could be the one.
Very cool.
So Heroes Con.
I mean, I could do other ones, but that is the one I'm thinking about now, and it's in June.
Very cool. We will not be at that one.
No,
we're booked.
We're booked solid through.
Oh, really?
Summer. Like we're through April, June, July, August, and into September. Where we are every weekend is filled.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
We will even be in Mexico for a week.
Yeah, we will. We will be
That's
down
incredible.
south. We got to get Farron to letter the translation.
Yes.
I'm gonna look into it more as I start like getting closer to finish on my. I just pretty much like it's hard for me to schedule out the cons when I'm like,
you're working.
I need to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to finish it before you can focus on selling it, right? And that's
pretty much, yeah.
The cool thing about crowdfunding is that crowdfunding helps you while you're finishing it. And that's honestly what crowdfunding should sort of be. But in a lot of ways, it's become crowd selling. And that's actually more appealing to consumers. So it makes crowdfunding harder to do for crowdfunders. It's another subject for another time, guys.
Mm-hmm. So I know we didn't watch the trailer. I've got another show at 8:30, but I don't know if you want to.
Oh, sorry. Do you
It's
want
okay.
me to
No, it's okay.
Real quick.
I love
Do
hanging
it.
with you guys.
Do it. Just do it.
I'm doing it.
Rip.
Go on.
It's short.
Welcome to Colony A.2.1. Here, a vast network connects the minds of each member of the populace, delivering endless entertainment. Augmentally custom made for each individual member, free of charge. It's the cornerstone of modern life, a perfect system. That was until a street racer named Atlas Metric caused a glitch in this flawless system. It went undetected by the system admins, but now has the attention of a nefarious power who will do whatever it takes to retrieve the cause of the glitch. Atlas. Now relentless android assassins have been dispatched to capture him. In order to escape this threat, he will need to overcome the impossible, with the glitch in tow. But hey, impossible is just something losers say when they've given up, right?
Yeah, I love some of that visual storytelling there, man. Like that's what I'm talking about. The panel sequence and the sound effects, very much motion comic adapted.
Yeah, it felt that's pretty much what it'd be, a little more. Say that again.
Who did the voice acting for that?
That's AI.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, we were like, dude, it was perfect. We were like, man, this is. I don't think I would use AI if not specifically. I wanted it to sound
or
like
an
AI.
AI.
So, right.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's
than
pushing for that, right? For like proper representation for like black actors. So if you're gonna have an AI narrator, you need to use AI.
That's correct.
Otherwise,
Diversity, man. This is
exactly.
It is
I don't wanna be
actual AI playing an AI.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a
cancel me when I'm like 60.
technophobe. You don't want to be a technophobe, Joe.
That's right.
All right. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Go back Star Circuit. Get that catch-up tier if you haven't, because you're going to need Chapter 1.
The link is pinned in the description. It is pinned in the chat. And if you're watching on Twitter, it is in the comments. So go click it and back it.
Right. We are backing it, just to let you guys know for full transparency's sake. This book has been on my radar. It's something I've been looking forward to for like 3 years now. I'm glad Joe's finally getting us the next
Every
chapter.
time he says it, he's going to add another year.
It was two. It was since
I know,
2021.
but now
It's
you said
2024.
three.
You know,
Every
whatever.
time-
Whatever.
It's the
Keep
anticipation.
busting my
So
balls.
excited it makes it
Why
feel like
why you always got to do this?
it's
in
my
public,
job.
right?
It's my job. What can I say?
But yeah, click the bell for notifications, guys, to know when we go live next.
And tune into the
We'll
frequency.
see you next time.
Bye. Uh-oh. Where's the button? There
Click
you
the
go. Okay,
button.
bye.